Jay Quellen. No Jay Quellen here? Balake. Where is Balake at? Ron.
Ron is right here, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome back to the channel. Guys, people are usually quite surprised when they find out how small Scientology is or how quickly Scientology has been declining in membership because of all the press that Scientology gets and because you hear of how much money they have. There is a very widespread impression that Scientology is either large or growing, and the fact is neither is true. And what I want to play for you is a portion of an interview that Mike Rinder did on the David Packman show. Now, I normally wouldn't use clips from political programs because it's just not possible to get even political adjacent on YouTube without starting some kind of a flame war. But I really do want to share things that have to do with Scientology, regardless of what program they're on. So Mike Rinder's been doing a promotional book tour for his book, A Billion Years, and he's been going on all the programs. He went on Megyn Kelly, and she's political, and he went on David Packman, and he's political. Now, I did share the Megyn Kelly clip on my show, so it's only fair, guys, that I share a clip from the David Packman show. So please, this is not a political statement. I don't do politics on this channel, and that's for a very good reason. So without any further ado, let's just jump into this. The segment of this interview is titled, Is Scientology Slowly Dying? Let me share with you how Mike Rinder addressed this question.
It's great to welcome back to the program today Mike Rinder, former senior executive of the Church of Scientology and the Sea Organization, also author of the new book, A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology. Mike, great to have you on again, as always.
Thanks, David. It's wonderful to be back.
So, I mean, in the interests of treading some new ground right up front, I think there's this feeling among some that the Church of Scientology right now is somewhat diminished, both in notoriety and maybe in strength. Is that a fair assessment, or do you disagree with that?
Oh, no, I think that's a very fair assessment, David. I think that Scientology has been dwindling as to its overall numbers and its influence, primarily due to the internet, also due to a lot of media coverage. You know, their numbers are diminishing, but I wouldn't say that that is diminishing their revenues yet. Because what happens is you get organizations that are, in a bubble of us versus them mentality. When the walls start closing in, the people inside feel more desperate that they have to do more, give more money, but become more active and involved in order to save their particular cult from extinction. So probably Scientology is still raking in, millions and millions a week, but that is an unsustainable model because eventually those people run dry and you have to have new people coming in, and that is not happening.
In terms of the numbers, in Lawrence Wright's book, Going Clear, Wright writes that internal claims often allude to millions of members. I've read numbers as small as 30,000 globally, which I don't even know. It sounds very low, but maybe it is that low. What's your sense of the membership at this point?
Well, my estimate at this point is around 25,000.
Oh, wow. That's the lowest I've heard anyone even state.
Well, there's a few others who have that similar opinion. Aaron Smith-Levin and Chris Shelton and Jefferson Hawkins, all of whom are former Sea Org people, high-level executives in Scientology who had access in one way or another to information about membership. Scientology inflates their membership figures by claiming that anybody who has ever purchased a Scientology or Dianetics book therefore becomes a member because we have their name and address from when they purchased the book. And over 50 years, there's been millions of people who purchased them. So ergo, there are millions of Scientologists. They may have had 100,000 or a couple of 100,000 back in the 70s or the 80s, but today, no way.
You escaped in 2007, if I recall correctly, which is roughly like 15, getting closer to 16 years ago. Do you think that you were still on the radar of the church? Are you being tracked? How closely do they? I mean, like, will people from the church see this interview, for example, that we're doing right now?
Absolutely, David. You'll probably get a letter from a lawyer before you manage to put this up on anything.
Oh boy!
But
well, it didn't happen with the last one. So hopefully not this time.
Okay, this interview does go on for longer. They cover some other points, but that is where they stop talking about issues relating to the size of Scientology, the growth or lack of growth of Scientology. So what Mike says there is what I've heard former international executives say over and over again, which is at the very, very peak of Scientology growth and expansion, there was about 100,000 active members. And this is a figure that Scientology can very easily access. Every single Scientology organization reports how many, they call it bodies in the shop, how many bodies in the shop were there that week. And that is people who came in for any type of service of any kind whatsoever, no matter how much that service cost. And so, there might be some wiggle room on, well, how do you really define Scientologist? Somebody could not be in an organization for months and still be a Scientologist. And there is wiggle room in this. And I think that's why Mike said, at the peak, there was 100,000, maybe 200,000. But the one figure that Scientology knows for sure every single week is how many people walk through our doors for any reason whatsoever. So when Scientology comes out and claims millions and millions and millions, it is an intentional and deceitful lie. The fact that Scientology is already bleeding members and has been for a long time, but isn't yet bleeding dollars, is why getting Scientology's tax-exempt status revoked is really the linchpin in bringing down the entire house of cards. Because once you get their tax-exempt status revoked, you have rescinded the reason Scientologists have to make large donations to Scientology. People aren't going to donate $5, $10, $20 million to something that is not a tax deduction. And further, once you revoke the tax-exempt status, now all of a sudden Scientology has to pay property taxes on its $1 billion or $2 billion of real estate. And whereas Scientology has enough cash reserves to cover those expenses for probably many, many years, they do not have enough cash flow coming in to cover those expenses. So they've been bleeding members for decades. Once the tax-exempt status is revoked, then they start bleeding dollars. How long can that bleeding last for before the organization dies? I have no idea. But that is why I consider getting the tax-exempt status revoked to be of the utmost importance. I believe in the next year or 3, we will see Scientology prosecuted for felonies, federal felonies, and I believe we will see convictions. And I believe those convictions will open the door to the IRS reviewing and revoking the tax-exempt status. That is what I see happening. What do you guys think? What do you think the likelihood is of that going down that way? Let me know in the comments down below. That's all I got for now, guys. Thank you for watching. And by the way, if you're watching this before 8 p.m. today, Friday, I will be doing a live stream Q&A to celebrate 90,000 subscribers. Hopefully I break 90,000 subscribers by the end of today. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe